Hi everyone at GEMS Founders School in Dubai. My name is Alice Humphreys. I am the author of The Boy About the World. Thank you for reading it. The Girl Who Rode the Ocean and Great Adventurers. So a few different children's books I've read. I'm an adventurer, so I've been on big adventures. I've cycled around the world. I've actually walked. Can you just see up here? The movie poster. I walked from Salalah in Oman to the top of the Shard in Dubai and made a film about it called Into the Empty Quarter, which you could watch on YouTube if you fancy doing that. Thank you very much for sending me all these fantastic questions. Let me open them up and get going. Yeah, thank you. It's so nice when people actually read my books and send me questions. Well, loads of questions here, so I'm going to have to do them quite quickly so you don't all fall asleep. Right, 5B. Ooh, not only are there lots of questions, but Ali from 5B secretly asks me 5 questions. Right, what was your favourite country's tradition and why? Ooh, that's a really good question. I'm not sure anyone's asked me that before. Favourite country tradition? Well, tradition's probably not quite the right word, but perhaps it is. When I cycled through Lebanon and Syria, it was Ramadan. And in Britain, we have Ramadan. There's loads of Muslims in Britain who do Ramadan, but it's not everyone. It's not really everywhere like it is in, say, Lebanon and Beirut. So I loved the celebratory, the happy, enjoyable, welcoming celebrations, the iftars at the end of the day and being invited to families. I really loved that. That felt really special to me as an English guy, a non-Muslim, travelling through that area. That was great. Question 2. Ali, following up with another question no one's ever asked me. Who's your favourite and least favourite teacher and why? Wow. I had a brilliant teacher when I was from, say, 8 to 13 called Mr. Beaufoy. And he was an English teacher. And what I liked about him was he made us learn poetry and quotations from books and memorise them. So now in my head I've got this random knowledge of so many bits of poems. So I really loved that. My least favourite teacher might have been... Well, I'd probably better not name names so I don't get in trouble. But I had a teacher, a Latin teacher, who, if we didn't pay attention, used to whack us with sticks. I did not like him. Ali. Oh, not only has Ali asked me 5 questions, he's asked me several within the one here. What's your favourite, least favourite, and most common animal you've seen? Favourite, whale when crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Least favourite, crazy angry stray dogs that chase you on your bike when cycling around the world. And most common, mosquitoes in Alaska and Canada. There'd be so many on the outside of the tent in the morning. You could see literally thousands of mosquitoes just sitting on the tent, just waiting to feast on me when I got out of the tent. Do you actually like banana sandwiches? Yep, I do like them. Not as much as Tom does, but yeah, I do. And another... Ali, you're mastering these questions that no one's asked me. What's the weirdest and longest name you've encountered? If you remember it, what was it and in which country? Now, this is a great question because it reminds me of another good teacher who I had, a geography teacher when I was young, who, for homework one day, made us learn the name of the longest place in Wales. It's quite hard to say. And at the time I thought, this is a weird homework, but I can still remember it 30 years later, and I'm proud of it. So... look up in your atlases or Google Maps where you can find this place. The spelling, it begins Llanfair, and then hopefully Google will find the rest. But the place name in Wales, and I have a photo of me in front of the railway station sign there, it says, Llanfair Pwllgyn Gogadechwyn Drobof Clan Tysilio Go Go Go. How's that for a place name? Pretty cool, hey? Good questions from Ali in 5B. In 5C, Sarah Andrea, have you been to the countries you've been to in the book? Yeah, this is a sort of, it's a true story. It's about a boy, but this is what actually happened to me when I was cycling around the world. In Ayahuasca, did I have anyone for company? Most of the time I was on my own, but sometimes I'd meet people who were cycling to market or cycling to school, and it was really nice to share the road cycling with them. And then a few times on the trip, friends joined me for bits along the way. And your second question, what was the hardest part of your journey? I cycled through Russia in the middle of winter, which was ridiculously cold, minus 40 degrees, hard to imagine if you live in Dubai. And a friend called Rob, he joined me for that. Zayad says, how long did it take? It took me 4 years to cycle around the world. Question 5E, ask, if you could bike a world again, would you? For a long time after finishing cycling around the world, I thought, nope, never again. Once was enough. It was brilliant, but it was hard, and there's lots of other things to do in your life. But just recently, I've started to think again, I'd love to go on a big bike journey. Not all the way around the world, because that was so hard, and it was quite lonely, and it was tough. But I would like to do another big bike ride. What made you so positive and confident to write the book? That's a really good question. I think it's a really good question, because I think when you write a book, you have to be quite confident, don't you? You have to think, I'm writing something that's good enough to put out into the world and that other people will read. And then, of course, there's the risk that people read it and they say, this is the worst book in the world, I hate it. And then they write on Amazon, they give me 1-star reviews. They say, this is a rubbish book. It's awful. And that can really damage your confidence. So you're right. To be a writer, you do need some confidence to think, yeah, I have a good story. So my answer to that is, when I was cycling around the world, I visited about 300 schools and I did talks in the schools about my adventures. And from those talks, I knew that the audiences did enjoy my stories, and if I just told the stories from my talks into the book, then it would probably be right for schools. Question 5F, class 5F. What languages did you learn? Now, you guys are listening to me in English. I'm guessing that living in the UAE, you speak some Arabic, or fully Arabic, Salam alaikum. I imagine also being an international school, there's children from all over the world. So you guys are awesome at languages. And if I had a superpower, I wish I could speak all the languages in the world. But unfortunately, in England, when we're at school in England, we get taught languages so badly. So nearly everyone from Britain, apologies if there are any Brits in your class, most of us who live in England are rubbish at languages, really rubbish. So everywhere I went in the world, I'd try and learn as much as I could. But I was going through 60 countries, so I didn't really have that long to learn things. So I just learned enough to be polite in different places along the way. And then I had a year in South America, so I got pretty good at Spanish. Más o menos. Ezan says, what inspired me to bike the world? Well, what inspired me were reading books. I've got loads of books of adventures, and my favourite adventurers who really inspired me are the ones that I wrote about in this book, Great Adventurers. The people in this book, they went off on doing all sorts of amazing journeys and adventures, Ibn Battuta, and reading these stories was what inspired me to go cycle around the world. And that's why I made this book, because I wanted other children to know about the same explorers that I did. Ezan also wants to know, can you do a book part 2? Well, thank you for my chance for a little commercial, because you are in luck, my friend. Look at this. Ezan begs me, he says, please can you do part 2 about South and North America? Well, your wish is my command. Part 2, The Boy Biked the World, riding the Americas. Part 3, riding the world, riding home through Asia. So yes, I hope you'll like that. Oh, ding! Someone just sent me a message. How exciting. Where's the next question? Aradhana says, how are you? I hope you're fine. I'm fine, thank you, yes. Next question. Arkin, have you encountered any dangers? Well, not really. I mean, I really felt you have to be careful and prepare and plan, but actually I felt pretty safe out in the world. Bonjour, Mr. Alistair. I just want to ask, Are your characteristics exactly like Tom, or was he an imaginary character? Good question. He's pretty much like me. I mean, he's a boy, I'm a grown-up man, but he's pretty much like me, but sometimes I exaggerated things just to try and make the story a bit better, but yeah, he was roughly like me. Rodina, sorry if I've said your name wrong, which I'm pretty sure I have, sorry. You heard that I biked the world on one bike. I actually got through 3 bikes. I had loads of punctures, new wheels, new tyres, and it took me 3 bikes to get around the world. Hussein Salama says, favourite country? I choose different answers for this all the time. I really loved riding through the Middle East. I loved Lebanon. I loved Sudan. I loved South Africa, Colombia, Alaska, Kyrgyzstan, Georgia, Slovenia, France. I loved lots of places in the world. Did your friends believe you? Well, Hussein, do you believe me? Do you think I actually cycle around the world, or have I just been learning about these places on Google? Ooh. Why did you decide to use a bike, not something else? I could have walked around the world, but that would be so slow. 10 years. I could have motorbiked around the world, but that would be really fast. 6 months. And I think a bike is perfect because it's slow enough so you can really see places and meet people and learn about the world. But it's quick enough so you can do 100 kilometers a day and get on to new different places. Amir Samir says, how long did it take to write the book? Roughly about a year. It takes me about a book a year. Lavanya, how did you not get tired eating the same thing every day? I did get tired eating the same thing every day. It was pretty boring. But your next question about how do you get all the money was, I didn't really have enough money to cycle around the world. I had £7,000, which perhaps you can Google how much that is. Yeah, I tell you what, I'll do it for you. So I had some money, but not really enough to last for 4 years, and so that meant I had to be really careful with my money and not waste it, and so that then meant that I had to just live cheap all the time. I'm trying to work out how many thousand dirhams it is. I had 31,661 dirhams to cycle around the world, which for 4 years isn't very much, and so it was quite boring eating the same food. But also, when you cycle far all day, you get really hungry, and so you happily eat anything. Wissams, I've done your question. Aditya, can you write a book called The Boy Who Swam to the End of the World? Wow. Well, I've written a book about oceans, but swimming, gosh, I'm rubbish at swimming. Ihina Audhia. How long did it take it to cycle around the world? 4 years. We've asked quite a few of these ones. Can you write a book called The Boy Who Biked Across Space? You know what? When I look at the moon at night, I think I would love to go to the moon. That would be amazing. Caleb, I've answered your question. Sorry, we've got quite a few repeating questions. Ambika says, would I like to host a sports event for people to beat my record for cycling around the world? Well, if you look up a guy called Mark Beaumont, he's a friend of mine. It took me 44 years to get around the world. He cycled around the world in 80 days. Google Mark Beaumont and read about his record. That was so fast. Dash says, how did I get the money? So each country, I would just go to the bank and take money out of the bank with my credit card, and then you'd have the money in the different currencies there. Right. Luna says, are you making a new book? Yes, so at the moment I'm writing a second book of these, which should be out in the summer 2023. And when I finish writing it, I've nearly finished, I'm going to do the next book in this series, which is going to be Tom and Lucy together going on an adventure. But I haven't quite decided where that adventure would be yet. Nathan, did your parents let you? My parents did let me, which I'm really grateful for, because they must have been a bit stressful and scary. Marwan asks how old I was. I was 24 when I set off to cycle around the world. Right, on to 5L now. Question from Mohammed. How did you meet the illustrator, Morgan Jones? Good question. I didn't actually. So I write the book, they give it to the publisher, whose job is to put it all together, and they chose the illustrator, so it wasn't anything to do with me. What was your reaction after finishing the whole series? Well, it was actually relief. So I wrote this book, and it took me ages to find a publisher. No one wanted it, and eventually I published it, and that was a relief. And then it wasn't selling very well, to be honest. So I thought, oh, do I really want to write this second one when no one's buying it? But I thought, I've got to finish the story, so I did it. And then about another 2 years, I was like, oh, I really don't want to write this. No one's reading my books. It's really sad. But I should finish it. So I wrote it, and I was just relieved to have done. And I'm really glad I have, because since I've finished them, they've started to get more and more popular, which is great. But it was quite a struggle at first. Mohammed says, thank you for making the best book in the world. You're very welcome, Mohammed. Thank you. Shukran. Right. Nirvi says, why does Tom go to Africa? He could go the other way. Well, you know what's delicious about planning the world is you could go this way or this way. And when you get to the end of the street, you go this way or this way. You could cycle around the world for your whole life. You wouldn't begin to see it all. So, yeah. You choose one route and it's exciting, but you kind of know you're missing the others. Rhythm, why didn't you put so many pictures in? You know, I wish I'd like it to have photos in, to be honest. I wrote... this book is about cycling down Africa. This book, Moods of Future Joys, is the exact same story, cycling down Africa, but this is kind of for adults, so more harder words and things. And this book does have photos inside it. So that was just a thing about publishing. The publishers couldn't afford to put photos in, I guess. And why didn't you put all the parts in one book? Do you want to know my honest answer? The honest answer is selling 3 books. I make more money than just selling one book altogether. But now these have been out for a while, what we're going to do this year is get all these 3 books and put them into one thick book around the world with this artist, and we'll collect a collected one, so it'll kind of match. I'm excited about them all going into one book. Adam says, why did Tom talk to so many people? Well, one of the great things about travelling on your own is that you have to talk to people all the time. You can't just talk to your friends. You have to go out and talk to people and meet people. And that's one of the best things of travelling, is all the different people. Can you make the book more interesting, says somebody. I'm sorry, I tried my best. How did you find so many facts in The Boy Who Bite the World? Well, I hope you like the facts. I tried to put in facts because I wanted it to be a book where you would learn things, but hopefully with it being a fun story, so it wasn't too boring. So I spent a lot of time reading books. Also, travelling around the world, I learned lots of facts as well. Nasreen says, why didn't Tom have a mobile phone to chat to him? Well, when I cycled around the world, I didn't have a phone to talk to people. I was just out in the silence of the world. I suppose as things get more modern, if I was going to cycle around the world now, I'd definitely take a phone. So this story was more modern than this one, maybe 10 years more modern. On this book, Lucy does have a phone, so she does phone up mum and dad at home and talk to them. Sorry, I've got quite a lot of repeat questions here. Ranveer says, why did you not add more adjectives? You know what, Ranveer? I don't really know much about writing. I don't really know about adjectives and adverbs and nouns. I never learned any of that stuff at school, so I don't really know how to write. Shh, don't tell anyone. I don't really know. All I've learned about writing is just from reading books. I was never really taught writing, so I don't really know. When will you go to the bottom of Asia? Well, I did walk across southern India, but I've never been to Southeast Asia. I'd really like to go there. Most walks, I love the food. Why aren't there many drawings? Just down to money. Why don't you have many pictures? money. Where am I from? I'm from England. What country are you in? I'm in England, just outside London. Have you travelled somewhere else? I've travelled. Places that weren't in this book, I've been to India, in Australia, I've been to Oman, the Arab Emirates. How many countries have I been to overall? About 90 I think. And do we have any questions from 5M? Oh, we have 5N now. Oh, crikey, more questions. Bum 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 bum. Will the boy be in your next book? Yeah, my next book's going to have the boy and the girl going together. How many books have you written so far? 15, I think. Why did I choose to be an author? I chose to be an author because I like earning money, sitting around, wearing whatever clothes I want, drinking coffee, and being free, being my own boss. I can work the hours that I want. I love the freedom and the independence. And it means that I get to go and do really cool stuff, like go off on adventures and then come home and write about them. So I love being an author for those reasons. The freedom is really, really important to me. Well, that was some fantastic questions. Thank you so much for reading my book, and good luck with all of your own adventures.